He had everything money could buy: private jets, mansions, luxury cars. But when his father was dying on the roadside, it wasn't his wealth that saved him. It was the kindness of a woman who had nothing but a heart of gold. It was a quiet afternoon on the edge of the city. Cars passed slowly, the air smelled of rain, and the streets were almost empty. On that street, a woman named Amara Johnson walked home carrying a small bag of groceries. Her slippers were worn out, her clothes were old but clean, and her eyes, though tired, still had warmth in them. Amara wasn't rich. She lived in a small rented room and worked 2 jobs just to survive. But despite her struggles, she never forgot how to care. She had a way of noticing things other people ignored, like a hungry child, a stray dog, or an old man crossing the road alone. That afternoon, she noticed something that would change her life forever. Amara heard the sound before she saw it, a loud crash, metal against metal. A black luxury car had hit the divider near the corner. Smoke rose from the hood, and people began gathering, but no one moved forward. Amara dropped her grocery bag and ran. Inside the car, an old man lay unconscious behind the steering wheel. A young boy, maybe 15 years old, stood outside crying, shouting for help. "Someone please! My dad isn't breathing!" he screamed. People just stood there, filming on their phones. But Amara didn't think twice. She pushed through the crowd and reached the car. "Move aside!" she shouted. "Give me some space!" The boy looked at her, scared, desperate, tears streaming down his face. "Please, ma'am, save my dad. He's my only family left." Amara opened the car door and felt the man's pulse. It was weak, but still there. She looked around. No ambulance, no police yet. "Hold his head steady," she said firmly. She quickly tore part of her scarf, pressed it against the bleeding wound, and tilted the man's head back to help him breathe. The boy trembled, holding his father's hand. "Please, please don't let him die," he whispered. Amara kept working, her hands steady even though her heart raced. Finally, the man coughed weakly. Air filled his lungs again. The boy gasped in relief, crying harder now. "You did it! You saved him!" Amara smiled faintly. "No, son. God did. I just helped." When the ambulance arrived, the paramedics took the man inside. The boy grabbed Amara's hand tightly. "Please come with us," he said. "Don't leave us now." She hesitated. "I can't, child. I'm just—" "Please," he insisted. "I don't even know your name." She smiled softly. "Amara." They rode together in the ambulance to the nearest hospital. The boy's name was Ethan Blake, and his father was Richard Blake, a billionaire businessman who owned half the city. Amara had no idea who they were. To her, they were just people in need. Hours passed in the waiting room. Amara sat quietly while Ethan paced back and forth. Finally, the doctor came out. "He's stable now," the doctor said. "Whoever helped him before the ambulance saved his life." Ethan turned toward Amara, eyes wide. He ran to her and hugged her tightly. "Ma'am, you saved my dad. You saved my family. I'll never forget this." She smiled. "I didn't do it for thanks, dear. Just do good when it's your turn." The next day, Ethan refused to leave until his father woke up. When Richard finally opened his eyes, Ethan held his hand and said, "Dad, you're alive because of her." He pointed toward Amara, standing quietly near the door. Richard's weak eyes turned toward her. "You," he said softly. "You helped me?" Amara nodded. "Yes, sir. Just did what anyone should." Richard blinked, emotion filling his eyes. He tried to speak, but his voice trembled. Thank you? You didn't even know me, and you saved me. Amara smiled kindly. Life's worth saving, no matter whose it is. When Richard was discharged a few days later, he called Amara to meet him in his office. She came wearing her cleanest dress, still humble, still kind. Richard stood beside Ethan, waiting with gratitude in his eyes. Amara, he said, I owe you my life. But more than that, you reminded me what life truly means. She smiled. You don't owe me anything, sir. I'm just happy you're okay. Richard shook his head. No, Amara. You see, I've spent my whole life chasing money. But when I was lying there dying, all the money in the world couldn't save me. A stranger with nothing did. He took out an envelope and placed it in her hand. This isn't charity. It's gratitude. And a job offer. I want you to work at my foundation, helping people like you helped me. Amara's eyes widened. Sir, I've never worked in an office. Richard smiled. Then you'll learn. Kindness doesn't need a degree. Months later, Amara sat behind a desk at the Blake Foundation, helping families in need. She wasn't rich, but she was respected, and her heart was finally at peace. Every morning, Ethan would visit her office with breakfast and a big smile. You know, he'd say, you're like the mom I never had. And every time, Amara would smile and say, and you're the son I never got. One afternoon, Richard came to her office. He said, Amara, you changed my son. You changed me. You gave us back our humanity. She looked up at him and said softly, sometimes life humbles us so we remember what really matters. Richard nodded. You're right. I was a billionaire, but you made me rich in a way I never was before. In the end, it wasn't money, fame, or power that saved a life. It was the compassion of a woman who had nothing but love in her heart. And that day, a billionaire learned that true wealth isn't what you keep. It's what you give.